Show the tape. Put it on your website. Put it on the website.
Live from Clark Studios in Rochester, New York. Broadcasting around the world. You're listening to You Made It Political, where the voice of the keyboard warrior is finally heard and the arguments presented are put to the political test. And now, here's your host, Matt Clark.
The President of the United States announces yesterday during a White House press briefing that Operation Warp Speed is going extremely well and that Pfizer should have a vaccine out, quote unquote, very soon, meaning as early as April. But arrogant know-it-all King Cuomo says New York will not be accepting that vaccine because he doesn't trust where the vaccine is coming from. Cuomo has put together his own COVID task review force that he will make sure is appropriate for New York State residents. So the entire country will be receiving the vaccine manufactured by one of the most reputable pharmaceutical companies in the world, but we won't have access to it. Why? Because our dictator of a governor has said, no, this is a personal and political vendetta towards the Trump administration. What an arrogant crybaby. But here's the thing. Last time I checked, King Cuomo didn't decide the fate of the lives of New Yorkers. After all, we still do live in a free country. At least that's what the Constitution says. Forget the fact that many of us still might not be willing to take a vaccine this early in the game. That's besides the point. This should be our choice, not the king's. Let's take a look at what President Trump said yesterday during his White House press briefing and what he has to say about the coronavirus vaccine.
As soon as April, the vaccine will be available to the entire general population, with the exception of places like New York State, where, for political reasons, the governor decided to say, and I don't think it's good politically, I think it's very bad from a health standpoint, but he wants to take his time on the vaccine. He doesn't trust where the vaccine's coming from. These are coming from the greatest companies anywhere in the world, greatest labs in the world, but he doesn't trust the fact that it's this White House, this administration. So we won't be delivering it to New York until we have authorization to do so, and that pains me to say that. This is a very successful, amazing vaccine at 90% and more. But so the Governor Cuomo, will have to let us know when he's ready for it. Otherwise, we can't be delivering it to a state that won't be giving it to its people immediately. And I know the people of New York very well. I know they want it. So the governor will let us know when he's ready.
So notice how President Trump made it very clear. I mean, you guys heard it. There is no disputing what he just said. He made it very clear that Governor Cuomo is not ready to accept the vaccine on behalf of New Yorkers. He did not say he was denying New York access to the vaccine. He said that we're not able to give it to you guys because Cuomo has to authorize it, and Cuomo's not willing to do that right now. So it's very clear the Trump administration wants to release the vaccine to all, but our governor is not going to allow it. Let's now head over to CNN, where Wolf Blitz has interviewed King Cuomo, and let's see what he has to say about the situation.
Look, what the president says is just untrue. At one time, a statement like that would almost be incredible, but with this president, it's common. Here are the facts. We trust the drug companies. Pfizer is a great New York company, actually. Regeneron is a great New York company. What the American people don't trust is President Trump. And every poll has shown, Wolf, yours included, that over half the American people are afraid that they politicize the approval process of the vaccine for political reasons during the campaign. So we're in a situation now where half the people in the country are saying, I don't know if I should trust the vaccine. A number of states, New York included, but a number of states set up a separate scientific panel that will review the FDA's approval to give people confidence in the approval process. Ours is headed by a Nobel Prize laureate to establish the credibility that they don't have in President Trump because they believe he politicized the health process.
What on earth is Cuomo talking about? On one hand, he says that Trump's politicizing the process. He says that he doesn't trust it. He says that it's all part of a political stunt that was manufactured to help Trump win 4 more years. On the other hand, he says, I love Pfizer. I trust Pfizer. Well, if you trust Pfizer, the company who Trump just said has manufactured this vaccine and is trying to rush it to save lives. If you trust Pfizer, then what's your problem? If Pfizer, one of the most reputable and well-known drug companies in the world, have come out with with a vaccine that you are comfortable with, why aren't we letting New York residents have access to this? It doesn't make sense. Cuomo is completely contradicting himself. He's saying on one hand that we need to look into this, we need to review this because we don't trust President Trump and how quickly he's releasing this vaccine. But I love Pfizer. Pfizer's great company. We'll be willing to take a look at it, and when we deem appropriate, we'll release it. Makes no sense. Totally contradicting yourself. This is a political issue. The government keeps telling us we gotta stop politicizing COVID. We have to leave it to the hands of the health administrations. Yet every single time we turn around, our Democratic governors, leaders are making it a political issue. Trump's trying to rush a vaccine because the world is crying for a vaccine, but as soon as he gives the world a vaccine, wait, hold on, it's not, this is too rushed. It's all part of his political agenda, and it's only because he wants to win 4 more years, so we don't trust it. You can't win. You just can't win. So Cuomo has not, or Donald Trump has not denied access to New York residents. Cuomo is denying access to New York residents because he doesn't trust Donald Trump for personal and political reasons. So if that isn't politicizing the issue, then I don't know what is. Let's take a look at what other companies have to say, or other news agencies. And here is where it gets very biased. Okay, here's where the mainstream media really shows its true colors once again. Here's where the left pushes their agenda. Trump, as you just saw, has very clearly said, we want to give the vaccine to New Yorkers. Cuomo says, we're not taking it until we review it. That's hardly a denial of distribution on Trump's end. To me, that looks like Cuomo is not taking it. But how have the mainstream spun it? Let's take a look. Newsday says President Trump said he will deny a COVID-19 vaccine to New Yorkers until Governor Cuomo ends his plans to delay the process. President Trump never said that. We just heard what he said. Newsday has straight up said President Trump said he will deny a COVID-19 vaccine. He didn't say that. He said, I would love to give it to New York, but we can't because Cuomo won't let us. Let's scroll down. Let's see what Fox 13 News has to say. Trump said the vaccine would be available by the spring for essentially the entire country except for New York. What on earth are you talking about? Again, he did not say that. It's the constant desperation of the left and the media to twist his words. And it's so blatant today that they're not even pretending to try to cover it up. They know he did a White House press briefing yesterday. We all heard the exact words that came out of Trump's mouth. Yet it's clear as day that the media is going to twist it and completely and blatantly lie about it. Going down to WTEN, Washington, President Donald Trump said Friday the coronavirus vaccine will be coming to the United States, but not to New York without the government's authorization. True. That's exactly why it's not going to New York. But again, the headlines are spun in such a biased favor towards the left that the Republicans don't even stand a chance. Donald Trump doesn't even stand a chance right now in getting or doing anything right because he is constantly scrutinized and the words that come out of his mouth are being twisted. Scrolling down again, I can go on, and it's just going to be one BS headline after the next. WNYT News Channel 13 says President Trump said at the White House today about distribution of a coronavirus in New York State. However, he won't be releasing it to New York State. Again, lies, all lies. WBEN, Cuomo reacts to Trump saying vaccine won't be delivered to New York. I'm not going to let a bully push New Yorkers around. Cuomo reacts to Trump saying the vaccine won't be delivered. Cuomo, the only bully here is you. The only one who said New Yorkers aren't going to get a vaccine is you. I don't understand, based on what I just saw, based on what you just saw, I don't understand where any of the media outlets get off or why they're putting Trump as the bully here. It's not even an issue of me trying to defend the guy. It's just very clear and obvious fact. This is nothing more than an arrogant move on Cuomo's part. It's nothing more than Cuomo politicizing it for his own political agenda. Let's take a look. Let's drill down further and we'll take a look at the keyboard warrior comments can, because after all, it's more important what the American people have to say about this. I can go on and on all day, but this show is about what the American people have to say, and we're going to take a look at their comments right now. So, WBEN, I'm not going to let a bully push New Yorkers around. Cuomo reacts to Trump saying vaccine won't be delivered to New York. What do the American people have to say? More importantly, what do New Yorkers have to say? Is King Andy high, says Paula. He's the one that said he wouldn't trust a vaccine from Trump. WTF is wrong with this clown. Again, Andy or Paula, I'm right with you on this one. I don't know what King Cuomo's put in his pipe these days, but clearly it's messing with his mind because, again, Trump didn't say this. Cuomo's the one who won't allow the vaccine. Scrolling down even further, let's see what Rick has to say. Governor Cuomo calling President Trump a bully? Says the man who has the SLA bullying bars and restaurants and wants the police to go home if there's more than 10 people there. And listen, it's not the rules, it's not the laws that Governor Cuomo is coming up with that we're so angry and frustrated about. It's his dictatorship and how he's ramming these laws down our throats and the way that he's going about it. It's his attitude. It's his very draconian style attitude that's really frustrating people. And his attitude is getting worse and worse as New Yorkers start to push back. The rest of the country, for some reason, think Governor Cuomo is doing a great job. And from the outside, I can see why that might look like. He's being responsible. He's trying not to be reckless. But little does the country know, New Yorkers, at least from the city itself, are fleeing New York on a mass exodus basis. The state is literally going broke before our eyes. New Yorkers are not happy. Pot kettle black, says Mike. Cuomo is a murderer. He just took the choice away from all New Yorkers, and that is exactly what he's did. He has taken the right for us to receive a fair vaccine. And again, regardless of whether you want to receive the vaccine or not, is a different story. We have a right to take the vaccine. We have a right to not take the vaccine. It is not up to Governor Cuomo to decide that for us. This is America, after all. This is a free country. At least that's what the Constitution says it's supposed to be. If someone wants the vaccine, it should be their choice, not his. I personally wouldn't trust a vaccine that was made in 6 months, but that is my choice to make, nobody else's. And this is the exact point that I'm trying to make. Do I agree with the fact that governors have the right to say, hold on a second, let's just take a minute, let's take a step back, and let's make sure that this vaccine hasn't been rushed? I am 100% on board with that, with all of it. But that does need to be the American people's choice. I don't agree with governors blocking the distribution of a vaccine like Cuomo is doing in New York, and now other governors are going to start to do. And we will see it. From what I see on social media, it's already begun. Cuomo, you idiot. You are literally the bully pushing New Yorkers around. I dare you to show up on some rural New York doorsteps and demand to see how many people are gathered for Thanksgiving dinner, you jackbooted thug. In an episode or a couple days ago, I discussed the fact that if you take a look at New York, yes, New York is a very Democratic, heavy-weighted state. But if you pull up the map, if you pull up the red versus blue states in New York State, the entire state is lit up red. The whole thing's lit up red. It's lit up red because the majority of New York State is a Republican state. It's only a few pockets, just a few pockets in Monroe County where we have pockets of blue. And it's those pockets of blue that have majority of the restaurants. We've got New York City, we've got Monroe County, we've got Erie County and upstate that have a lot of people. You leave those cities, you leave Rochester, you leave Buffalo, you leave New York City, you're going to find Republicans scattered everywhere who do not agree with this guy. And this is only going to make it worse. And now you might even see a shift in Democrats thinking or rethinking their decision come 2022 when it's time to reelect governor. And that's if he's still up for reelection. With what it's looking like, this whole coronavirus front show that he's put on has been for his own political gain to move up through the ranks of the White House and to land into Washington within Biden's administration. And if he's using the people at his expense to do that, shame on you, Governor Cuomo. Shame on you. We'll take a look at a couple more and then we'll take a break. Love this. Cuomo didn't want the vaccine for New York. He wants his people to look it over. POS. Cuomo is a loser. I'm not sure at this point who even likes this guy. This isn't the 1960s. You don't run New York State like the mafia it once was. The people demand fairer treatment. They demand to be a part of the discussion. We don't need to be told what to do like little fifth graders. Cuomo has done nothing but hammer this state into bankruptcy, and he's done it without consulting the people that matter, you and I. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to You Made It Political, where the voice of the keyboard warrior is finally heard, and the arguments presented are put to the political test. And now, here's your host, Matt Clark.
Welcome back to the show. We spent the first half of the show discussing the draconian vaccine measures and the fact that Governor Cuomo has decided that he's not going to allow New York State residents to get the vaccine until his team looks at it. Not really fair, not really constitutional. I didn't think it was Cuomo's right. I didn't think it was up to him to decide whether we get the vaccine or not. Let's go over to the Keyboard Warrior Cam and we'll take a look at some other issues that we're facing today. Lockdown again in New York State. Only this time, we're seeing several more countries added to the list. New York State sees new lockdown restrictions. New York City Mayor de Blasio holds briefing on latest coronavirus developments as positive rates climb. What do New Yorkers think about the new lockdown? Are we in favor of it? Well, let's turn to the Keyboard Warrior Cam and see what they have to say.
Or even more recently in neighborhoods around Brooklyn and Queens, where we had a major uptick and people worked together to fight it back. That's what we have to do again now. Now, of course, in the last 24 hours, we've gotten new guidance from the state of New York, and I've talked about this with the governor in detail. We're working to ensure the city and state are always closely coordinating on these issues. So the new state rules include having bars and restaurants closed by 10 p.m. each evening, although takeout and delivery can go later. Gyms as well must close by 10 p.m. There's a limit on certain gatherings to 10 people, and these rules will be put in effect this coming Friday, tomorrow at 10 p.m. And of course, the city will work to enforce these new rules and all the existing rules effectively.
So now it's so bad that we're now only allowed to have up to 10 people in our own homes. What is going on here? This is getting out of control. 10 people in our own homes. The state is now telling us how many family members we can have over. This is what you do to kindergartners. This is what you do to adolescents who don't know how to decide right from wrong. This is not what you do to grown adults. This is not how you treat your constituents, people who know how to take care of themselves, who know how to make smart decisions to keep themselves healthy. Since when did it become our government's job to baby the American people? Have we not been through pandemics before? H1N1 that was far more deadlier than coronavirus statistically. Have we not been through previous pandemics where we were allowed to decide how to help each other through it? The more that the government tells its citizens what to do, the more resistance they're going to see in return. That's just how America works. We are not a country of followers. We are a country of leaders. We lead the rest of the world. The world looks up to us because of how free we are. Those rights, those freedoms are being taken away from us one by one. And at first people said, what rights, what freedoms? Oh, mask up for a few months. What's the big deal? Okay, well, it started with masks. Then it started with closing down my business. Then it started with closing down where I can go and what times I can go. Now they're telling me I have to limit how many people I'm allowed in my house. This is where democracy breaks down and starts to fail, when the American people roll over and take it. How many more ridiculous and outrageous measures are going to be put in place over the coronavirus lockdown? How far are we going to be pushed around? At some point, we need to put our foot down and say, enough is enough. We need to look out for each other. We need to take this thing seriously. I am in no position to discuss the severity of coronavirus. I'm not a medical expert. We'll leave that to the likes of Fauci. But I do know what country I live in. And I know that it is not right the way that these measures are getting stricter and stricter. Donald Trump said in a Washington press briefing yesterday that this administration will not be locking down. So at least we have until January 20th to enjoy our freedom. Because by God, we better hope that when the Biden administration comes in, if they in fact keep the White House, a lot of our freedoms and rights will be over for the foreseeable future. Let's head back to the comments cam and see what people have to say about these new strict statewide measures that most states will probably start to see. All right, heading back to the comments cam because it's all about you, the people. This is what we want to see. These are the comments that we want to look at. We take a look here. Donna says, America needs to stop being so selfish and think of each other to get through this. This is not a hoax. Donna, you're absolutely right. This is not a hoax. But is it worth sacrificing the economic status? Is it worth sacrificing the financial stability of this country? We can all agree coronavirus is not a hoax. But is it worth bringing down the entire nation? Because we couldn't even afford the last lockdown. We couldn't afford to be locked down for 2 months. How are we going to afford another 2? This country will collapse within financially this time around. We literally cannot afford another lockdown. Who's going to pay the bill? Who's going to pay my bills when this country goes back into a lockdown? Now, if the government asked us all, how much are you making today? We will supplement and pay you that income for the next 3 months. Please stay in your house. I'll sit home and binge watch Netflix all day long for all I care. I don't care. You pay me my income. You replace my income so that I can pay my bills, so that I can continue to not even live the life that I'm comfortable with today, but at least get by. Then I'm all for the lockdown. But there has been no second round of stimulus check. There are people who are hurting. GDP dropped 30% second quarter this year, 31%. What did it do after the lockdown was lifted? It flew back up 33%. The economy cannot handle another lockdown. There is no talk of financially supporting the American people. Congress can't come up with a package. So we need to be smart about this next round of lockdown. We need to find a balance between protecting each other and protecting the economy while we're in limbo waiting for a vaccine. But we cannot go into a full-blown lockdown. This country will collapse financially, and we may just see a civil war, none that we've ever experienced in this lifetime. Am I exaggerating? Maybe. I hope so. I pray to God. But the word on the street is that people are not happy. Americans are not happy. This country cannot take another lockdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show today. If you want to be a guest on the show, we are taking guests. Email guests@youmadeitpolitical.com. Thank you so much for your support. Drop a comment in the video. Tell me what you think about the show, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Thanks for listening to You Made It Political with Matt Clark. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show, or leave us a review on iTunes. And if you like our show or want to know more, check out youmadeitpolitical.com.